Welcome back to another Stand on Guard. Welcome to Monday. The house is back and we'll be broadcasting live from question period later, but I've got a few things to share with you this morning that I think you're going to like. So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist. Yes, please hit that like button. Please hit the bell. Give us the thumbs up. Like the station. Subscribe if you haven't. Resubscribe if you must. I want to thank everybody. I did a bit of a membership drive over the weekend. It was a short membership drive because I know how much I used to hate PBS when they used to do those extended membership drives. But it was so much a membership as a subscription drive because YouTube had literally deleted 60 subscriptions overnight. And I'm saying, good God, this can't continue because they do that to you and you're left high and dry. And so that really can't continue. So what has happened is that because of the response over the weekend to my last broadcast, which was about Trudeau's rant about Alex Jones and Diagolon, we have shot up over 150 over the last 24 hours. So thank you so much for supporting the station. It's really, really appreciated. And I don't know if we could do it without you. And of course we couldn't. But I have some good news. Yes. Some very, very good news to share with you this morning. Because of course, we all know about what's been happening in Scotland, do we not? Where the hate, crime, and public order bill put through by a guy called Humza Yousaf is the leader of the Scottish National Party and what they call the First Minister of Scotland. I thought Scotland was still part of the UK. Yes, it is, but it might as well have voted for independence because it's so screwed up now with its parliamentary system. It's got two parliaments. One is trying to overrule the other. But anyway, Humza Yousaf resigned this morning because he couldn't keep his coalition together. I think that's great news. And because, of course, he was not only sponsoring this hate speech and public order act, he was pushing gender ideology in the schools. And elements of his coalition just couldn't stay with him. They were tired of this guy, the self-appointed leader, never really elected to be the first minister, was thrust into that position and started selling a radical social policy, even though he's supposedly a Muslim in his personal life. And all of these things are contrary to the Muslim faith. But he's pushing this radical social agenda, this woke social agenda, and he's been pushed out. And he couldn't face a non-confidence motion vote because he knew he was going to lose. Let's listen.
Thank you all for coming. Last week, I stood here to announce the ending of the cooperation agreement between the SNP and the Greens, the Butte House Agreement, and that the SNP would seek to govern as a minority government. I made that decision as leader of the SNP as I believed ending the Butte House Agreement was the right one for the party I lead. And I still do believe that to be the case. But most importantly, I believe it was the right decision for the country. My hope was to continue working with the Greens in a less formal arrangement as the SNP moved into a new phase of minority government. Unfortunately, in ending the Butte House Agreement in the manner that I did, I clearly underestimated the level of hurt and upset that caused Green colleagues. For a minority government to be able to govern effectively and efficiently, trust when working with the opposition is clearly fundamental. And while a route through this week's motion of no confidence was absolutely possible, I am not willing to trade my values and principles or do deals with whomever simply for retaining power.
Very, very interesting. So, okay, he's not prepared to compromise. Thank God, because he's going to be a bad leader no matter what happens here. So I'm very, very happy to see that. It gives us some optimism, some reason to think that perhaps things could be different in Canada. Now, is this going to prompt Justin Trudeau to resign? No, I doubt it. But it's possible Justin Trudeau could lose the budget vote if the NDP develops an ounce of common sense between now and then. Or if, even in their self-interest, they see that this budget is going to destroy them along with the Liberals. So the NDP might not support the next budget. And we already know if there's an internal leadership review going on in the Liberal Party right now. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc confirmed that about a week and a half ago, although he feigned loyalty to Justin Trudeau, but didn't deny that there's a backroom leadership review going on about Trudeau's leadership. But of course, this is just the usual sham politics of the Liberal Party. Change the face of the party, change the leader, and they'll get reelected. They'll win the next election. They've tried this consistently in the past. The Conservative, of course, do this in opposition. They change leaders in opposition. The Liberal Party has done this when they're in power. They get rid of sitting prime ministers in the hopes that they can retain power with a new face. They know the public has gotten bored or is angry or is fed up with the current leader. Just change leaders and the public will forget everything. The public will forgive everything. They won't think it's about bad policies. It's just about a leader who's stale. And that, the Liberals are going to try that. That's exactly what they'll try if Justin Trudeau is unable to cling tenaciously to power much longer. So I say this is plan B, is to get rid of Trudeau before the October 2025 election if Trudeau doesn't work out. He's not going to go quietly, though. But then again, neither did John Turner in 1990. Neither did Jean Chrétien 10 years later. They don't go quietly, but they go because the Liberal Party is about self-interest and power. That's what the Liberal Party is about. So yes, there's an internal leadership review going on in the Liberal back rooms right now. Justin Trudeau looks like it's affecting him. Every time he goes to a news conference, he starts panicking about Alex Jones and Diagolon and making crazy accusations about Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. So yeah, he looks unhinged. He looks like he's distracted, to say the least. But we need to distract him some more. And we need to distract this government sufficiently so the online harms bill is not passed in Canada. Let's listen to what my friend Neil Oliver had to say about what's happening in Scotland and what's once again at the center of attention because of the resignation of the Scottish National Party leader.
Laws that I speak of in Scotland are the ones that seriously, they dangle the threat of up to 7 years in jail over the heads of anyone judged to have stirred up hatred against a protected group. And I'm using the language there of the new legislation. The protected groups in question are designated in the main on the grounds of race, sexuality, and religion. Let's just say, for example, men who say they are women are specifically protected from hate in the new legislation, while actual women are not. Advocates of free speech, myself among them, have said for years that the new laws are too vague, too open to interpretation, too vulnerable to abuse by bad actors, ever to function as good law.
So the resignation of Humza Yousaf in Scotland does not necessarily mean that the Hate, Crime, and Public Order Act will be repealed, but it becomes more likely, and potentially that could happen because the Scottish National Party is fractured and its coalition partners are no longer cozy with it, largely because of a woke ideology problem. So this is good news for Canada. I hope. We have to find some reason for optimism in this country because we are facing so many critical issues from the Liberal government that are destroying Canada. And I mention these all the time. Euthanasia, the carbon tax, the Online Harms Act, and runaway deficit spending, just to name four. I could go on. But I want you to listen to John Carpay, the president of the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, again, as he describes our Online Harms Act in Canada and what it means for you and I and stations like this.
This act is going to change the maximum penalty for advocating for genocide, which is a criminal code offense, is going to be changed from 5 years to life in prison. Compare that to maximum jail sentence for sexually assaulting a minor, which is 14 years. So, in effect, we've got this legislation that's saying that to advocate for genocide, maximum penalty, life in prison. To sexually assault a child, maximum 14 years. So, advocating for genocide is worse than sexually assaulting a child, according to the mindset of this government. The fourth and probably scariest provision is preemptive punishment of people who have not committed any crime. And so if this bill C-63 passes, it's going to result in a situation where if I fear that you are going to commit a hate crime, hate speech, anti-Semitism, whatever, I can file a complaint and I can force you to appear before a provincial court judge. And I can say that I fear that you are going to say something hateful. And if the judge thinks that I have reasonable grounds for my fear, he can order you under house arrest, ankle bracelet, curfew, abstain from alcohol or drugs, provide blood or urine samples to prove that you're not taking alcohol or drugs, take away your legally acquired, legally owned firearms if you have any. Those are the conditions the judge can impose on you because I fear that you might say something hateful in future. This is terrifying. You know, that you can get these restrictions placed on you, house arrest, curfew, because somebody else fears that you might say something hateful in future. Now, supporters of this bill will say, oh, you know, that'll never happen, don't worry about it, and the judge is not going to grant that, you know, willy-nilly. And you know what, they might be partially correct, but the process is the punishment. Why should I be hauled to court in the first place based on somebody fearing that I might do something bad in the future? That's not how our criminal law operates. If you've committed a crime, the police is there, the Crown prosecutors are there, the judicial system is there, and you know we prosecute people if they have committed a crime. You don't place somebody under house arrest because they might commit a crime in the future. This is sick, this is twisted, it's dangerous, and it's scary.
Sick, twisted, dangerous, and scary. That's John Carpay's summation, his description of Trudeau's Online Harms Act. Now, I know I harp on this every week. I did 2 episodes about it last week. I'm not going to be talking about it much more this week. Very low viewership of those issues, of those broadcasts, excuse me. That's unfortunate because this is the issue of the hour. If this bill goes through, if this bill is passed by the House of Commons, the Senate, and is given royal assent prior to October 2025, it will have real impacts, real effects on stations like this. It will make it extremely difficult to is what this government is trying to do. So I encourage you to keep fighting this bill with all of your might, and to ensure that if this bill is passed, it is repealed by the next conservative, by putting pressure on that conservative government. I'm having some technical difficulties right now with the mic. I don't know if that's related to this broadcast, but I am being suppressed. This station is being suppressed, and we have to keep fighting that suppression. Thank you for becoming a subscriber. Thank you for supporting this station. I want to just be, while I have the time, I want to remind you we've got these great stickers. Aren't those wonderful? Yeah, those are our popular stickers. We're really selling a lot here. And of course, you can get a t-shirt with that "Think While It's Still Legal" logo on it. I encourage you to do that. There's more. So that's where we are with the stickers. They're selling briskly. Please, we've got lots though. Please don't worry about it. And of course, our coffee cups, available in 2 sizes. This is the small. We have a larger one, a little higher, for those of you who need that powerful caffeine fix in the morning. And of course, it's got the Resolve to Resist and the Stand on Guard logo on here. So let people know where you stand with your politics. I do. I'm all for free speech. And if we lose our free speech in Canada, we lose everything. Because I'm always telling people, you know, a democracy is not about having an election. Right, I keep losing the mic here. Oh. A democracy is not about having an election every 4 to 5 years. It's about having an opposition party, a viable opposition party. It's about having freedom of assembly, a freedom of religion. But more than anything, it's about having freedom of speech. If we lose freedom of speech in Canada, we lose it all. Because we will no longer be able to communicate our desire, our opposition, our refusal to submit, and our opinion of those who govern us. And that's a tradition going back centuries in the British democratic tradition that we inherited and we are relinquishing very quickly under Justin Trudeau. So keep fighting. I encourage you to do that. Come on back at 2 o'clock for question period live with yours truly. Should be interesting. I can't guarantee Trudeau will be there or even Poilievre, but they're back after a week's absence. Hopefully they can ask some decent questions and raise some real issues and not just the same old slogans, because we need to fight this government on real issues. Thank you, everybody, for watching today, and I will be back at 2 o'clock.